Buzz. Knows you can't play what?
Oh my gosh, Johnny.
Don't be talking tonight.
Talk
So
to
listen,
me.
Buzz, I'm so glad to be hanging out with you guys in front of all of our friends here tonight. I got to say, loved it to dit, but this is like TEDx, Buzz, you know? Unconventional connections. It's like, we all know about Newfoundland music, don't we? Or do we? I mean, these guys here are two of Newfoundland's traditional music interpreters. And yes, they are so amazing at what they do, but I think that we deserve to know a little bit more about these guys. And so, let's kick it off. Let me ask you just a little cue and see where it goes. Tell us all about your path to music and how you guys got into playing Newfoundland music.
Well, I'm from town, right? I grew up in the Battery, and my family's not from Newfoundland. My parents aren't from Newfoundland. My dad's Greek. My mom's Irish. And while there was a huge love and support for music in the household, there weren't people around me, playing Newfoundland tunes or what have you. I grew up playing music formally. I was taught Newfoundland traditional music. And it was the very same teacher, Christina Smith, who taught me both classical as well as traditional music, which I didn't find out until later was a rarity. And I started playing when I was 4. I moved to Toronto, thought I was going to become a violinist. I didn't. But it was when I moved to Toronto that I found out that we had something special here. So that's kind of how I came upon playing and whatnot.
I grew up in a town in central Newfoundland called Appleton, and there wasn't much music in the town at all, really. But at some point when I was around 10 or 11 years old, I heard an accordion player, and I think the music was just infectious enough that I just took it in my head to begin playing trad music. And so when I moved to town, I started playing sessions a lot and met people like Emilia, and went from there.
Did you not tell people you played accordion for a while?
Yeah, I was like 5 years or something in high school. I was like a closet accordion player.
Terms that you didn't know before tonight. That's amazing. I think it's very cool, guys. I mean, it's funny, right? We all come across music. I play a little bit as well, but Newfoundland music has been intimidating for me to learn as an artist. But look at you guys growing up all through in it. It's crazy.
Not intimidating.
Well, too late. I'm freaking out here. Especially in the Lakes EE. Driving you
Oh,
mad. You're sick. So, Newfoundland traditional music. I mean, like, we all know that traditional music, Newfoundland music, it's Irish music. I mean, we know that, right?
That's a part of it, but really, it's a mixture of all the music from the places where all the early settlers came from. So you get the English and the Irish and the Scottish. There's even like elements of the music that come from like the Brittany region of France, really, that you can still hear. And some of like fiddlers like Rufus Gincher, you hear some tunes that could be from that place, you know. Cool. So it's just it's like a melting pot for the music, right?
So not just Irish, it actually is a melting pot of all sorts of different influences. Pretty cool.
Yeah, you got the English and the Irish, and what's more, I mean, both of us play in a group called the Dardanelles, and we've had the honor and the opportunity to travel a lot of different places. We've traveled as far as Australia, and they say, play us that Newfoundland music. Like, we go halfway across the world, and you know how special our music is. And it took us, it took me personally, I had to move away to realize that, and to realize that it was as unique as it was. Because it sounds like Irish music. It's not Irish music. It's completely different. We have our own style, own ornamentation. We have our own tunes. And I'm not even talking just tunes. We have our own types of tunes. So, we have jigs and reels, right? Everyone know about jigs and reels? You know your jigs. So
it's more than just a radio show on the weekend morning show, isn't it?
So for those that don't know, and it took me a while to figure out as well, so a jig, it's in 6/8 time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? Jig makes you want to dance. And then you've got your reels in 4/4 time. Do you want to play a reel? Yeah. Any old reel. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jigs and reels. We play jigs and reels. In Newfoundland, though, we have our very own type of tune. Actually, a bunch of different tunes. We have a tune called the single. We have a tune called the double. We have a tune called the triple. We have all these different... So you may not know what a single is, and it's hard to define, I think. It's kind of like a polka in terms of time signature, but not quite. It's much faster, much less ornate. But I'll play you one that you probably know. Muscles in the corner, right? That's a single. That's a fast tune. And this is a tune for dancing. All Newfoundland traditional music is made for the dance. It's not meant to be listened to. That was never its function in the past. So it's all about dancing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who would think that music could be made to serve functions not specific to sitting and listening? So give me some examples. Like, what are we talking about here? So, why would we create music? For, community? For exercise? Like, what?
Precisely. Yeah.
Yeah, totally that.
Yes.
I guess when in outpoor communities, when all the work was done, there was nothing else to do except have a dance or something, so...
There was a dance every night. There'd be, if you're lucky, there'd be a fiddle player in your town or an accordion player, and there'd be one person most of the time just playing the tunes, playing for hours. I'm not fit enough to play for dances. It wears you right out. But, and in Newfoundland as well, sometimes if there's an extra person in the set or in the dance or whatever, the fiddle or the musician or the accordions, you'd add a beat. Right? All extra person, John's coming in to dance, so they added a beat. And so a lot of our music, besides having our own type of tune, besides having the single, besides having the double, they're crooked tunes with extra beats, and so they don't fit that normal pattern that people who listen to traditional music normally expect. So, this is something we should really be proud of, because everybody else knows about it. And knows how special it is.
We're so hospitable, we even accommodate the dancers, right?
I mean, listen, say no more. I'm feeling it. So what you're saying is that you actually, in the tradition of Newfoundland music specifically, there are single notes put in off time so that people can come in and out of the dance. That is amazing. I love it.
Yeah. We're friendly people, right?
I know. Sure, you know it yourself. I think that's great. So, guys, we've learned some great things so far hanging out here. That Newfoundland music is not Irish music, that it's actually a combination of a whole bunch of different influences. We've learned that jigs and reels are specific to measurement of feel and time, pretty deadly. And that singles, doubles, and triples are all different signatures that go with songs that are unique to us. and that we are the ones who decided to put in separate beats and extra beats in some of the songs as a way to facilitate community and dance and exercise and a whole bunch of things not dependent on music itself. That's pretty crazy. So I guess the question that we all are wondering in our heads in terms of connecting Newfoundland to music is, where is Newfoundland music going, in your opinion?
I wouldn't say it's going anywhere, really. In a sense that...
See ya!
The thing is, it's evolving all the time. That's the only reason there is Newfoundland music, because the people who originally came here, they had their English music and their Irish music. Right. After a while, they just played good tunes that they enjoyed for the dances, and, you know.
Now, you growing up outside of the city, being someone who learns Newfoundland music, playing it together and all the things that you guys do, have you ever interacted or had experiences where you have been able to learn craft and music from sources other than mainstream Newfoundland resources like your bandmates, etc.?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in a community in Notre Dame Bay called Boyd's Cove. And at the time, I was still in my early teens. I was just still learning the accordion. Right. And someone mentioned to me that there's an older fellow up the road who was playing the accordion. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go up and have a tune with him, a cup of tea or something. And, you know, it's pretty innocent, you know. After a while, I learned all these tunes, and it wasn't until I moved to St. John's that I realized that no one else knew these tunes, and like I just collected them from this guy named Brent Newman, and they're a totally unique set of tunes from Boyd's Cove. Yeah, and he was in his 90s at the time, and he's passed away since, so I don't know if those tunes would have been around, you know.
That's actually pretty amazing, because I think a lot of us in the crowd might know the name of Gerald S. Doyle. Anyone? Yeah. Right, a little round of applause for our forefather. And just for you guys who don't know Gerald S. Doyle and his story, and of course you guys know, but I mean just to let everyone know here, is that he was someone who, as a trade merchant, would go around way back to all of the harbors and inlets and bays all around the province when we weren't so connected as we are now. And he would actually, make friends and hang out with all of the locals in the communities. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in his travels, he actually collected tunes unique to these places, created in these towns for the reasons that we just spoke about, and he would bring them back, and thus the creation of the Newfoundland Songbooks came to be, which is a catalog of all Newfoundland original traditional music, which, like you have done more recently in your travels, would be lost if not for people like Gerald S. Doyle, who helped us create our musical almanac. And so that's what you guys are sort of doing yourselves by going around and learning all of these songs in today's times.
I guess so, but we've also been inspired by earlier players, I guess, in the folk revival of the 70s. Like, I think Kelly Russell, was it today he got the Order of Canada?
Order of Canada.
And
yeah.
he,
today? That's amazing. Yeah. So cool.
And
so he's the Gerald S. Doyle of tunes. He was the one who met and spent a lot of time with Rufus Ginchard, Emile Benoit, both huge fiddle players in the tradition. And if it weren't for him, just like with the songs, the tunes have been kept. And there's been a lot of good work. And as we were saying before, you know, there was a time where I think people were pretty scared that we were losing the tradition. You know, the outports, there were less and less people living there, and so the function of the music seemingly was being lost, but not necessarily. And nowadays, it has never been so exciting to be part of traditional music than right now, because of the work of Kelly Russell, Christina Smith, Fergus O'Byrne, all these people who are fighting and holding on to the music and teaching and sharing, and, you know, it's
exciting. And now we're secure enough to come up with just an accordion and a fiddle, and we're good with that. Like, we don't need a band.
Oh, I think we're pretty good with it too. What do you think, Buzz? Love it. So let's bring the technology piece in here for a second. Let's talk about what we are doing to make sure that people outside of our home and native land can access these amazing tunes and learn them without even stepping foot onto our province. What is going on there?
Well, we just recorded a CD last fall, and we released it, and the majority of these tunes had never been recorded. Some of them were from Brent Newman that Aaron had collected from in Boyd's Cove, and the majority of them as well had never been written down. So as part of this project, we asked our friend Dwayne Andrews to help us write everything down. They're all in PDF form, available for free on the website, our website, just to share these tunes, because again, as some of these tunes had never been played outside of their communities. Now we're getting emails from Luxembourg and Japan. Oh, I love that tune about Placentia Bay or what have you, you know? So we just want to share, and technology is a huge part of, even in the process of us finding new tunes, because there have been archives that have been digitized from the 60s and the 70s that are now available to us that we wouldn't have had access to, because we're this generation who would have never known Emile Benoit, never lived at the same time as Rufus Ginchard. And so we're lucky.
We are lucky.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that we have friends like you guys that are continuing to move our tradition forward by sharing and finding and digitizing all of our amazing music that we're lucky enough to call our own. Don't you guys think so? So, it's been really cool to hang out with you and ask you some questions and sort of get to know you better so we can reconnect to our own musical identity and culture, which I think is a pretty amazing gift unto itself. And so, everybody, one more time and one more tune from the amazing Emilia and the amazing Collis. Let's hit it.
All right. So a couple of singles. Right?